right, the first question says Mr. Deets is a teacher whose salary is $22,570 for this school year, which has 185 days. In Mr. Deets School District, substitute teachers are paid $80 per day. If Mr. Deets takes a day off without pay and a substitute teacher is paid to teach Mr. Deets' classes, how much less does the school district pay in salary by paying a substitute teacher instead of paying Mr. Deets for the day? So I can see this is a math problem, but there's not an equation or an expression. There are words and sentences and all of that. So this is a word problem. And when I have word problems, I like to identify the question mark so that I can drill down and focus my attention on what exactly they are asking. So here's my question mark. So I want to go to the beginning of that question, right, which is rather long. So probably there's some fluff in there that we don't need to pay attention to. But here is our long question. If Mr. Deets takes the day off without pay and a substitute teacher is paid to teach his classes, how, right, really here's the question, how much less does the school district pay in salary by paying the substitute instead of paying Mr. Deets for that day? So how much less is letting me know. I want to know what's the difference. What are they saving? So I'm going to be subtracting, right? That's how much less lets me know I'm subtracting something. And what am I subtracting? I'm subtracting what they would be paying the substitute from what they would pay Mr. Deets if he had worked. So we need Mr. Deets' daily pay minus the substitute's daily pay, and that's going to equal the answer that we're looking for. Okay, so I worked backwards, found the question mark, then honed in on what the question was asking me using their words. I created the quote unquote equation, right? So Mr. Deets' daily pay, because it says for that day, minus the substitute's pay for that day is going to equal my answer. Now let's go back and see if we can find out what Mr. Deets' daily rate is and the substitute's daily rate from the other information. So Mr. Deets' salary for the year is $22,570, but that's all year long. We need a daily rate, but we know that's for 185 days of work. So we can divide that yearly salary, 22,570, divide that by 185, and we get a daily rate of $122 for Mr. Deets. Minus, now see, can we go find the substitute rate? In Mr. Deets School District, substitute teachers are paid $80 per day. So 80. And now we're ready to subtract and get our answer. 122 minus 80 is $42. So that's how much less. Make sure you go back and you are still answering the correct question. $42 less if they pay the sub versus paying Mr. Deets. So the correct answer to that question was A, $42. So we're going to move on to the second question. It reads, so far, a student has earned the following scores on 4 100-point tests this grading period: 65, 73, 81, and 82. What score must the student earn on the 5th and last 100-point test for the grading period to earn an average test grade of 80 for the 5 tests? Now, when we look at a question like this, we can use a level of common sense because you've been in school, you've got experience with test scores and averages and things like that. And so you understand we have a 65 and a 73, 2 grades that are less than 80. And then we have 2 grades now, 81 and 82, that are over 80. And if you take the average right now, you'll add those 4 numbers and then divide by 4. So 65 plus 73 plus 81 plus 82 gives us 301. Divide by 4, and we get 75. So obviously, if we are going to increase our average to an 80, putting in a score that's less than 80, or significantly less than 80 is definitely not going to raise our average, right? So if our average is a 75, if we score 75 on the test, that's not going to raise our average to an 80, right? Or 76. So right away, you can eliminate some of those answer choices that you know are just like ridiculous, right? So eliminating ridiculous answer choices first. Okay. So 78 is kind of iffy. It's not that far from 80, but you can keep it in there if you're unsure whether or not it actually could get you to an 80. So what we'll do at this point is use the answer choices, add the 4 numbers plus a 5th number, divide by 5 and see if it gets us to the 80. Okay. I'm going to start with 99 just because I'm like 78 just doesn't seem to be high enough, right? Just from experience. So I'm going to save time by starting with the 301. I've already added the 4 numbers. I'm not going to re-add them. That saves me some time. So 301 plus 99 is 400. And then I'll divide that by 5 this time because it's 5 test scores. And that gives me the 80. So trying the 99, going with my gut and making sure it worked, it did work. So now I will not waste time with 78. And obviously it's not K because 99 worked. So this student needs a 99 on that last test in order to have an average of 80. Question 3. The oxygen saturation level of a river is found by dividing the amount of dissolved oxygen the river water currently has per liter by the dissolved oxygen capacity per liter of the water, and then converting to a percent. If the river currently has 7.3 milligrams of dissolved oxygen per liter of water, and the dissolved oxygen capacity is 9.8 milligrams per liter, what is the oxygen saturation level to the nearest percent? So remember that strategy of identifying the question mark and focusing in on exactly what you're being asked. I'll start right here, right at the beginning. What is the oxygen saturation level to the nearest percent? That's what they want to know. Now, we need to go back into the problem to get the instructions on how to calculate it. And that's in the first sentence. The oxygen saturation level is, okay, so here's the formula. Dividing the amount of dissolved oxygen the river water currently has, right? So that's a long description, but that thing, you take that thing and you divide it, this is what my fraction bar is for. You have the first thing, dissolved oxygen water currently, and you divide it by the dissolved oxygen capacity, right? So I'm going to say river water and then capacity, okay? So dissolved oxygen the river water currently has divided by the capacity, the dissolved oxygen capacity per liter of water, and then converting it to a percent. Okay, so we'll take this fraction, whatever it is, and then convert it into a percent. Then, second sentence, the river currently has, so that's river water, currently has 7.3 milligrams of dissolved oxygen per liter. So that's our top number. And the capacity is 9.8. Okay, so there's our fraction. We just need to turn that into a percent. So you can type that in your calculator. 7.3 divided by 9.8, right? And you get 0.744 on and on. Anyway, you multiply it by 100 to get a percent. And that is going to be D. 74% is the nearest percent, right? That's a 0. One more question before we run out of time here. A rectangular lot that measures 150 feet by 200 feet is completely fenced. What is the approximate length in feet of the fence? Again, here's our question. We're focusing on what is the approximate length in feet of the fence. Length, that should be a signal to you that we're going to be calculating the perimeter. right? Because the fence goes around something, just like perimeter goes around, and that's how long the fence needs to be in order, long enough to go around the outside of the shape. So we're looking for perimeter here. And they did give us everything we need to calculate the perimeter, because we know we have a rectangular lot, and we also know that it's 150 feet on these opposite sides and 200 feet on those sides, right? Because you know that rectangles have equal opposite sides. And now it's just a matter of adding those four numbers together to get the total perimeter or total length. So 200 plus 200 plus 150 plus 150. And that's going to give you 700 feet for the length of the fence that goes around that lot.
Thank you guys for being on with us today and watching our Freeview Friday. We did just now complete going over our ACT questions from this past week, June 13th through June 16th. So thank you so much for being on and participating. Also, really quick, guys, we are opening up our registration for our top 10 ACT program, the one that is targeting this September's ACT test, okay? So remember, we help students get their goal score or more, and in our 8-week program, students will get the strategies from insiders, the information that ACT certified educators can provide. We do guidance, a thorough content review, step-by-step ways to improve, and how you can reach your max score. So, you know, what's unique about our program is that we use 2 ACT certified educators. Myself, Ms. Tori, specialize in math and science, and Ms. Trisha specializes in the English and the reading. So guys, make sure you sign up for that if you are going to be taking the September test. Classes will start July 18th, so that's not a lot of time. We are fast approaching July 18th. Our seats are limited, guys, and you know, it's all going to be online for your convenience and flexibility. So make sure you click our link, and the entire link is there below for you. Remember, guys, we have a summer special. You can book a free strategy session, and you will get your choice of either a math or an English 1-hour intensive lesson that's completely free. It's valued at $150. So if you want to book in for a free strategy call, we will bonus one math or English lesson to you, okay? So thank you so much, guys. Look forward to seeing you more in the group. Have a great weekend.